The Empire had always believed that humans were weak. They thought humans could not survive in space for long, could not fight like the alien races, and could never build warships that mattered. In the council halls of the Empire, officers laughed when they spoke of human technology. They called it primitive, fragile, and slow. For centuries, the Empire had expanded without worry, conquering systems and controlling trade routes. No one had ever taken humans seriously. One day, near the edge of Empire space, sensors detected a strange object drifting near a small star system. It was a warship, but unlike any the Empire had seen. It was old, battered, and its design looked almost like a relic. The Empire officers called it a joke. They said no advanced race could ever make such a ship and expect it to survive. Commander Jason Hill, a young but ambitious officer of the Imperial fleet, smiled as he studied the readings. He believed this would be an easy victory, a chance to capture a ship that would bring him fame. "It looks abandoned," Hill said to his crew. "I expect nothing from it. We will board it, take whatever is useful, and leave." He did not notice the faint signals coming from the ship, signals that were almost like a heartbeat. The Empire fleet moved closer. Huge warships with long cannons surrounded the drifting human ship. Sensors scanned it carefully, but the data returned was strange. The ship's energy output did not match any known alien design. It was small compared to Imperial cruisers, yet somehow it had strong shields. Officers exchanged confused looks, but Hill waved them off. "It's probably just old systems misreading," he said. "Send a boarding team. They will find nothing, and we will return with the ship." Lieutenant Alex Riley and 5 other soldiers prepared to board. They wore armored suits and carried energy rifles. They expected no resistance. The Empire laughed at the thought of fighting humans, who were rumored to be weak and simple. They had heard stories of humans being fragile, needing help to survive in space, and relying on luck rather than skill. None of that mattered, they thought, because this ship looked small and useless. As the boarding shuttle approached, the human ship remained silent. No alarms, no movement, no response at all. The Empire soldiers felt a strange tension. Even though they mocked the humans, the silence made them uneasy. Inside the shuttle, Riley checked his weapon and looked at the others. "Remember," he said, "we take this ship and leave. Nothing to worry about." The shuttle docked, and the doors opened with a hiss. The corridor inside was clean and empty. The soldiers stepped cautiously, expecting debris or malfunctioning systems. Instead, they found lights glowing gently and walls that looked cared for. Simple symbols and human words were etched into the panels. The words were basic, almost like reminders. "Check systems. Stay alert. Crew at rest." The soldiers paused, confused by the calm order of the ship. Suddenly, the doors slammed shut behind them. Alarms went off, but they were soft, almost polite. The soldiers tried to open the doors, but the controls did not respond. Panic rose in their chests. Riley tried the intercom. "Command! We are trapped!" he shouted. Silence answered him. Outside, the Empire fleet noticed that targeting systems and scanners began to fail. Imperial ships could no longer lock on to the human ship. Small displays went black, and alarms rang without reason. On the bridge of the human ship, Captain Ethan Cole watched everything calmly. He was human, tall and steady, with sharp eyes that seemed to see more than the sensors could. Behind him, Lieutenant Claire Morgan worked with quiet efficiency, managing the ship's systems and monitoring the Empire fleet. Ethan spoke into the communication system, his voice calm but firm. The Empire laughed at the warning. Commander Hill thought humans would never threaten the Imperial fleet. "Fire everything!" he shouted. Energy cannons lit the darkness of space, and beams of destructive light hit the human ship. The crew expected explosions, smoke, and failure. Instead, nothing happened. The beams bent, deflected, and seemed to vanish. The human ship moved with strange precision, adjusting shields and energy flow, as if the fire did not touch it at all. The boarding team felt the floor shake slightly, but no real damage occurred. Riley looked at his squad. "What the hell is this?" he whispered. He had never seen anything like it. The Empire soldiers were trained for war, but nothing in their history prepared them for this calm, efficient resistance. Ethan spoke again. "You underestimate humans. We survive where others fail. We fight where others surrender. You should leave before this becomes dangerous." Hill's face reddened with anger. He could not believe a small ship, an outdated ship, could resist his entire fleet. "How can this be?" he shouted. "These humans are nothing. Our empire is unstoppable." He did not notice the human ship's movement. It slipped between cruisers and frigates with incredible speed. In moments, some Imperial ships could no longer track it. Their weapons failed, and communications became unreliable. Officers scrambled, trying to understand what was happening. Panic crept into their voices, but they refused to admit defeat. Inside the human ship, Ethan moved calmly. He checked the systems, gave quiet orders to Claire, and watched the Empire's confusion grow. He did not need to attack aggressively. The Empire's arrogance and ignorance were already working against them. Small, precise actions were enough to show strength. The Empire laughed at humans for centuries, and now they were about to see how wrong they were. The boarding team tried to fight back, but their weapons were useless. Doors would not open. Lights would confuse them, and sensors misled their targeting systems. They realized that the humans on this ship were not weak, not simple, not vulnerable. Fear settled into their hearts, but pride kept them silent. They could not admit that they had been fooled. Outside, Hill watched as his fleet failed to respond to attacks. The human ship had not destroyed anything yet, but it had shown that it could control the battle. It could disable ships without touching them. It could move faster than any known design. It could see every move before it happened. The Empire officers were forced to rethink everything they had believed about humans. Riley and his team huddled in the corridor. "I thought humans were weak," he muttered. "I was wrong." The others nodded silently. Fear mixed with awe. They had faced humans before in rumors, in stories, and in small border conflicts. They never expected a single ship and a small crew to outsmart an entire fleet. Ethan's voice came again through a calm, clear transmission. "We are not your enemies. We are humans. We survive. We protect. We do not fight, unless we must. Leave this system, and you will not be harmed." Hill's hands shook. He could not believe it. The human voice was calm, steady, full of confidence. It was unlike anything he had heard. The Empire, which had conquered so many races, felt small in comparison. Laughter was gone. Pride was gone. Doubt and fear took its place. The Empire had always mocked humans, and now it faced the truth. Humans were far more capable than anyone imagined. For the first time, the Empire officers considered retreat. They could not admit it yet, but deep inside, they knew that underestimating humans had been a terrible mistake. The human warship did not need to fight aggressively. Its mere presence, its skill, and its calm intelligence were enough to challenge the Empire's arrogance. Ethan stood on the bridge, watching the Imperial fleet struggle to react. He did not smile. He did not shout. He simply observed, knowing that the Empire would learn a lesson it had ignored for centuries. Claire worked silently beside him, monitoring systems and keeping the ship ready for anything. The humans were small in number, but mighty in skill. The Empire would soon understand that size and firepower were not everything. As the first part of the encounter ended, the Empire realized it had misjudged humans. Laughter turned to whispers. Pride turned to fear. A simple human warship had exposed the arrogance of a galactic empire. The Empire would remember this day, the day they scoffed at humans, and the day they discovered the truth. The Empire fleet was in chaos. The ships that had once moved with confidence now drifted, their systems failing one by one. Commander Jason Hill could not believe what he saw. Targeting systems flickered, communications broke, and alarms rang without reason. The human warship moved with calm precision, avoiding every attack without showing even the smallest sign of strain. On the human ship, Captain Ethan Cole remained steady. He watched the Empire's movements with quiet attention. Beside him, Lieutenant Claire Morgan typed commands quickly, adjusting shields and rerouting energy to critical systems. The humans were few, but they worked perfectly together. Their small crew made the ship seem alive, almost like it was a single mind with multiple hands controlling it. The boarding team trapped inside the human ship was panicked. Lieutenant Alex Riley and his 5 soldiers could not open doors or use weapons effectively. Lights shifted in confusing patterns, and control panels displayed numbers that made no sense to them. Riley tried to keep his squad calm. "We stick together," he said. "And we wait. Something will happen. Maybe we can get help." One of the soldiers, a young man named David, looked around nervously. "How can a ship do this?" he whispered. "This isn't normal. Humans are supposed to be weak." Riley shook his head. "I don't know," he said. "But this is not normal. I've never seen anything like it." He glanced at the walls and the clean corridors. Everything was orderly. No debris, no damage, no signs of a battle. The humans had built a ship that was efficient, strong, and controlled. Outside, the Empire fleet tried to regroup. Officers shouted orders, but their weapons failed, and sensors misled them. Ships collided or moved too slowly to respond. Hill paced on the bridge of his flagship, frustration and fear mixing in his mind. He could not accept it. The humans were supposed to be weak. Yet, this single ship outmatched his fleet. It was impossible. Ethan spoke again through a calm transmission. "Your fleet is strong," he said. "But strength alone does not win battles. You underestimated humans. We survive, adapt, and fight with skill. Leave this system, and no one will be harmed. Attack us again, and consequences will follow." Hill slammed his fist against a console. "We are the Empire. We do not retreat. We destroy what stands in our way." Ethan's voice remained calm. "You will not destroy us with pride alone. This is your warning." The Empire fired again. Beams of energy streaked toward the human ship. This time, the humans moved in perfect timing. Shields redirected energy, and the beams bent around the hull without damage. Imperial ships were thrown off course as the energy reflected back or disrupted their engines. Panic grew among the crews. They had never faced an enemy that could manipulate space and energy so perfectly. Inside the human ship, Ethan moved with careful precision. He watched every enemy movement and calculated the safest way to respond. He did not need to fire aggressively. He simply disabled the Empire ships, showing that humans were not just strong, they were clever. Claire monitored the energy fields and adjusted them constantly. "We can hold them off," she said calmly. "But we must remain focused." Riley's squad tried to use their weapons on the human crew, but nothing worked. Doors opened and closed unpredictably, and control panels changed before they could act. The soldiers realized that these humans were not only skilled in technology, they controlled it as if the ship obeyed their minds. Fear settled in their hearts. Pride and arrogance faded as they understood the truth. Humans were not weak. Humans were dangerous. The Empire fleet began to break formation. Cruisers drifted apart, engines overheating from the human ship's subtle interference. Hill watched as his men panicked, trying to repair systems that failed faster than they could fix them. Communications were jammed, and orders were ignored. The Empire's sense of control vanished. Ethan spoke to the Empire fleet again. "We do not want war. Humans are not interested in conquest. We protect our people and our space. Leave this system now. Respect life, and you will be safe." His calm words shocked the Empire officers. They had expected fear, surrender, or aggression. Instead, they heard reason and strength in a simple human voice. It was impossible for them to ignore the confidence and control in Ethan's tone. Even the most arrogant officers felt doubt and unease. Riley's team was trapped near the ship's control center. They saw Ethan and Claire on the view screen, calm and focused. David whispered, "How can humans be like this? We thought they were weak." "Percent," Riley nodded. "I don't know," he said. "But whatever we were told about humans is wrong. Very wrong." Outside, the human ship moved faster than the Empire expected. It darted between cruisers, disabled weapons, and avoided collisions. Imperial ships struggled to follow. Some were forced to drop out of formation entirely. The human ship was small, but precise, able to outmaneuver larger ships without exposing itself to danger. The Empire fleet's arrogance had blinded them to strategy, skill, and intelligence. Hill felt anger and fear battling inside him. He had never been defeated before. He had commanded fleets that crushed planets and conquered systems. Yet, here he was, powerless against a small human crew. The Empire had mocked humans for centuries, and now he faced the reality of their strength. On the human ship, Ethan spoke quietly to Claire. "They are learning slowly. Their arrogance will make them weak. We show them restraint, but we are ready if they act foolishly." Claire nodded. "They cannot match us in skill or control, but they will not stop trying." The Empire fleet attempted one last coordinated attack. All ships fired at once, hoping to overwhelm the human ship. The beams converged on the target. Inside, Ethan and Claire adjusted the shields, energy, and ship movement in perfect synchrony. The beams struck the ship, but caused no damage. Instead, the energy was redirected, disrupting Empire weapons and engines. Some ships drifted powerless, unable to move or communicate. Chaos spread rapidly. Hill could no longer deny it. Humans were far stronger than anyone had imagined. They were clever, skilled, and fearless in ways the Empire could not predict. The Empire's arrogance had been its greatest weakness. He realized, for the first time, that humans could challenge the Empire itself. Ethan addressed the Empire one last time. "We do not seek conquest. We do not seek destruction. But we will not allow disrespect or attacks against humans. Leave now. Respect life and learn humility." The Empire hesitated. Whispers spread through the fleet. Officers questioned their orders. Ships drifted as commanders debated retreat. Hill's face was pale with anger and shame. Pride and arrogance were replaced by fear and uncertainty. The Empire had underestimated humans for centuries, and now they saw the consequences. Inside the ship, Riley's team remained trapped. They watched the calm humans, understanding that skill, intelligence, and courage could overcome any technology or firepower. The human crew was small, but they were more powerful than an entire fleet of the Empire. Riley realized that humans could not be ignored, mocked, or underestimated again. Ethan continued to observe the Empire. He did not attack further. He allowed them to see their own mistakes. He showed restraint and mercy, which shocked the Empire even more than the human ship's power. The Empire had expected fear, surrender, or death. Instead, they saw humans as strong, controlled, and disciplined. They saw restraint and honor. The human ship moved with quiet confidence, showing that humans were not only fighters, but also thinkers. Skill, courage, and control were more powerful than arrogance or firepower. The Empire would remember this lesson, and the memory would shake their arrogance for decades. The Empire finally decided to retreat. Ships powered down weapons, and commanders ordered withdrawal. Phil looked at the human ship one last time. He could not understand how such a small crew and simple ship could dominate his fleet. He felt anger, shame, and fear. The Empire had laughed at humans, but now the laughter was gone. The Empire had learned a harsh truth. Riley's team watched silently as the Empire ships left. They had survived, trapped, and confused. But they had also witnessed something incredible. Humans were not weak. Humans were strong, clever, and dangerous when underestimated. The lesson was clear. Humans were not the primitive race the Empire had believed. They were powerful, beyond imagination. Ethan turned to Claire. "We did not need to destroy them," he said. "They learned what they needed to learn." Claire nodded. "And they will remember it. The Empire will not forget humans again." The human ship moved quietly away from the system, leaving the Empire fleet behind. No shots were fired. No ships destroyed. The humans had shown their power without needing to attack. The Empire's arrogance had been humbled, and the truth about humans had begun to spread. As the fleet disappeared into the distance, Riley whispered to his squad, "Humans are not what anyone thought. Are not what anyone thought." David nodded. "We were wrong. Completely wrong." Inside the human ship, Ethan and Claire prepared for the next system, the next challenge. They knew humans were underestimated everywhere, and they would continue to show their true strength with skill, control, and intelligence. The Empire's laughter was gone, replaced by respect, fear, and the beginning of understanding. The Empire had scoffed, but the humans had revealed their power. The truth was clear. Humans were not weak. Humans were more than anyone had ever imagined. The war had only begun, and humans were ready. The Empire fleet had retreated, but the officers could not forget what they had seen. Whispers spread quickly through the ships. None of the commanders could explain how a single human warship had disabled their weapons, disrupted their systems, and moved faster than any technology they had. Commander Jason Hill sat alone on his bridge, staring at the empty space where the human ship had vanished. He felt anger, fear, and confusion. The Empire had laughed at humans for centuries, and now they knew the truth. Humans were far stronger than anyone had imagined. Inside the human warship, Captain Ethan Cole and Lieutenant Claire Morgan prepared for the next step. The ship was small, but efficient. Each system maintained perfectly. Each crew member working in quiet harmony. They were not just surviving. They were ready to reveal humanity's true strength if needed. Ethan activated a secure transmission. "We cannot allow the Empire to continue under false assumptions," he said. "They must see that humans are capable of more than they believe. Not for conquest, but for respect. Claire nodded and continued monitoring the ship's energy fields. The human ship had systems that seemed simple on the surface, yet they were powerful beyond anything the Empire had seen. Meanwhile, the Empire fleet attempted to regroup. They sent scouts and small ships to try to track the human warship, but each attempt failed. The humans moved silently, never detected until they chose to be seen. Empire officers began to question everything they knew. How could humans survive, adapt, and fight with so few resources? How could a single ship control an entire fleet without firing aggressively? Ethan prepared a message for the Empire leadership. His voice was calm and steady. "We are humans," he said. "We are few, but we are skilled. We do not seek war, but we do not tolerate disrespect. Your arrogance has blinded you. We can destroy, disable, and outmaneuver, but we choose restraint. Leave the humans in peace, and you will see our mercy. Attack again, and you will face consequences. Minota. Rostera. Ra. Rostera." Hill listened to the transmission in disbelief. The calmness, confidence, and authority in the human voice unsettled him. He could not understand how such a small crew could command such power. He realized that humans had hidden their abilities for centuries, and that arrogance had kept the Empire blind to their true potential. The Empire sent a small fleet to confront the human ship once more, hoping to test its limits. They approached cautiously, weapons ready, scanning every inch of space. Ethan observed their movements and calculated the safest and most precise way to respond. He did not need to attack. The humans' control over the battle was enough to teach the Empire a lesson. As the Empire ships moved closer, the human warship slipped past their sensors, moving with incredible speed and precision. Energy fields disrupted the Empire fleet, causing weapons to misfire and engines to fail. Cruisers drifted helplessly, and officers struggled to regain control. The Empire's confidence evaporated. The laughter that once mocked humans was gone, replaced by fear and awe. Inside the human ship, Ethan and Claire prepared to disable the remaining Empire ships without causing permanent damage. They moved quickly and quietly, using the ship's systems to control energy, shields, and movement with perfect timing. Each action was precise, ensuring the Empire could see humans' strength, but also their restraint. Riley's boarding team watched through a communications link. They were trapped, but able to see the humans in action. Alex Riley whispered to his squad, "These humans, they are incredible. Every move is perfect. They are not weak. They are beyond anything we imagined." David, the youngest soldier, nodded. "I can't believe it. A single ship, a few humans, and they control an entire fleet." The ID. Ethan activated a cloaking protocol, allowing the human ship to move undetected among the Empire's fleet. Imperial sensors could not find the ship. Cruisers drifted. Weapons offline. As the humans demonstrated that intelligence, skill, and coordination could overcome any firepower, the Empire fleet realized that humans were not only physically capable, but also strategically brilliant. Hill's anger turned to desperation. He could not allow humans to dominate without fighting back. He ordered his fleet to regroup and attack together. Yet, each move they made was anticipated by the human crew. Ships lost power, systems malfunctioned, and communication became impossible. The Empire officers could not understand how humans predicted their every action. Ethan spoke through the transmission once again. "You underestimate humans at your own risk. We are skilled, we are clever, and we are not afraid. Respect humans, and you will see mercy. Attack again, and you will learn our strength." The Empire finally began to understand. They had always believed humans were weak, primitive, and unworthy of respect. Centuries of mocking, underestimating, and dismissing humans had blinded them. Now, faced with the calm precision of a few humans controlling a warship beyond their understanding, they realized how wrong they had been. Inside the human ship, Claire monitored the systems carefully. Every energy flow, shield, and movement was controlled with exact precision. The ship was small, but efficient, simple in appearance, but powerful in reality. Humans had hidden their true abilities, and the Empire had only begun to see the truth. The Empire fleet's fear grew as they realized the humans' restraint. Ethan could have destroyed ships easily, yet he chose not to. He showed mercy, discipline, and control. Officers whispered to one another, acknowledging that humans were not only strong but honorable in their approach. This combination of strength and mercy was something the Empire had never faced before. Hill could not admit it, but deep inside, he felt respect for the humans. He had seen their skill, their intelligence, and their power. He had seen a single ship disable a fleet without aggressive attack. He had seen humans act with restraint when they could have destroyed everything. The Empire had underestimated humans, and now they had to face the consequences. Riley's team observed silently. Alex Riley said quietly, "We were told humans were weak. We were told they could not survive, could not fight. We were wrong. Humans are incredible." David nodded, still in awe. "I never imagined this. Humans, they are beyond what we expected." Ethan and Claire continued their work. They ensured the ship remained undamaged, systems efficient, and the Empire could witness their skill. The humans' calm control, strategic intelligence, and restraint were the true demonstration of their power. The Empire had scoffed, laughed, and underestimated humans. Now, they could see the truth, and it was undeniable. Hill sent a report to the Empire Council, trying to explain what had happened. A human ship, a few humans, controlled our fleet. They were precise, clever, and powerful beyond comprehension. We cannot defeat them with brute force alone, he feared the Council's reaction. Centuries of arrogance would make it difficult for them to accept humans' true strength. Ethan continued to monitor the Empire fleet. He did not seek further conflict, but he ensured the Empire understood the humans' abilities. Restraint and skill were more powerful than aggression. The humans had demonstrated that size, firepower, and numbers were not everything. Intelligence, control, and courage could overcome any fleet. Riley's team finally understood the lesson. Humans were not weak. Humans were clever, skilled, and disciplined. They had seen firsthand how a small crew could outmatch an entire fleet without destroying it. The Empire's arrogance had blinded them for centuries, and now they had been forced to see the truth. Ethan and Claire prepared for their next move. They knew the Empire would be cautious, that alien races would question Empire dominance, and that humans were now recognized as a force to be reckoned with. The Empire had scoffed at humans, but the humans had shown their power, intelligence, and control. The Empire would never again underestimate them. As the human warship moved silently through space, the Empire officers whispered about the encounter. Fear, awe, and respect filled their thoughts. They could not deny the humans' skill. Yet they also feared what more humans might do if pushed. The galaxy had changed in a single encounter, and the Empire had learned that humans were far stronger than they had imagined. Ethan spoke quietly to Claire. "We have shown them enough. They understand now." Claire nodded. "Humans are underestimated everywhere. We must continue to show our strength, skill, and control when needed." Riley looked at the humans on the view screen, still trapped inside the ship. He whispered, "We thought humans were weak, but now I know they are not. They are something more, something powerful." David nodded. The human warship moved away from the Empire fleet, leaving a lasting impression. The Empire had seen skill, control, and intelligence combined with restraint. They had witnessed humans as a race capable of surviving, fighting, and outmatching an entire fleet with only a few crew members. The Empire would never again scoff at humans. The galaxy had begun to learn a new truth. Humans were clever, disciplined, and strong. They were a force to be respected. And the Empire had learned the first part of a lesson they would never forget. Humans were not weak. Humans were far more than anyone had ever imagined. The Empire fleet had withdrawn from the system, but fear and uncertainty still filled the officers' minds. Commander Jason Hill sat in silence on his flagship, staring at the stars. He had once believed humans were weak, fragile, and unworthy of respect. Now, he knew he had been wrong. Humans were clever, skilled, and powerful. A single human warship had controlled an entire fleet without destroying a single ship. The Empire had been humbled. Inside the human warship, Captain Ethan Cole and Lieutenant Claire Morgan moved quietly. The ship was small, but efficient, every system running perfectly. They had shown the Empire humans strength and restraint. Now, they prepared to leave the system and continue their mission. To protect humans, to survive, and to remind the galaxy that humans were not to be underestimated. Ethan activated a communication link to the Empire leadership. His voice was calm, firm, and steady. "The humans do not seek war. We do not wish to conquer or destroy. We act only to protect ourselves and our people. Your arrogance blinded you. Respect humans, and you will be safe. Attack again, and you will face consequences." The Empire officers listened in silence. Even the most arrogant commanders could not find words to respond. Pride had been replaced by fear, awe, and the recognition of humans' abilities. Centuries of dismissing humans had led them to this moment. They had scoffed, laughed, and mocked. Now, they knew the truth. Humans were a force unlike any other. Hill sent a final order to the fleet. Full retreat. The ships powered down weapons, engines stabilized, and communication systems returned to normal. Officers whispered to one another, admitting quietly that humans had outmatched them. Some ships had suffered no damage. Yet the psychological impact of a single human warship controlling a fleet left a permanent mark. Riley and his boarding team were finally released from the ship's secure corridor. They had observed the human crew's skill, calm, and intelligence. Alex Riley shook his head. "I don't understand it," he said. "A few humans, a small ship, and they control a fleet. They are beyond anything we imagined." David nodded. "We were taught humans were weak. That was a lie. Humans are clever, disciplined, and strong." Ethan and Claire prepared the ship to leave the system. They would move quietly, avoiding further confrontation, but ensuring the Empire remembered the lesson. Humans were not weak, and they would continue to demonstrate their strength when necessary. The galaxy had underestimated humanity for too long. Now, the truth was clear. Hill watched the human warship disappear into space. He could not deny it. Humans had proven their skill, strength, and intelligence. He felt shame for underestimating them, but also a grudging respect. He knew the Empire had changed. The arrogance that had once allowed them to conquer the galaxy had been challenged, and humans had shown they could not be dismissed. The Empire leadership received reports of the encounter. Whispers and murmurs filled the council chambers. Alien races within the Empire began to question human weakness and Empire dominance. The humans' reputation spread quickly, fueled by skill, restraint, and intelligence. They had not destroyed ships, but they had demonstrated power, strategy, and mercy. The galaxy was beginning to see humans as something more than weak and primitive. Inside the human warship, Ethan spoke quietly to Claire. They have learned enough for now. They know humans are not to be underestimated. Claire nodded. And they will not forget. Restraint, skill, and intelligence. They saw all of it. Humans are strong, but they are also fair. Riley's squad returned to the Empire Fleet's command, still processing what they had witnessed. Alex Riley said quietly, "This changes everything. Humans are not weak. They are incredible." David nodded. "I never imagined a few humans could control an entire fleet. Humans are not just strong. They are smart, precise, and fearless." Ethan prepared the ship for deep space travel. Humans had hidden many secrets for centuries, but they were not seeking conquest. They were protecting themselves, their people, and their reputation. The Empire had learned a lesson in humility, restraint, and respect. The galaxy would not forget the day the humans revealed their true strength. The Hill continued to watch reports from the Empire fleet. Ships were being repaired, but officers were shaken. The arrogance that had once guided them was gone. The Empire had laughed at humans, but now they feared them. Pride had been replaced by respect, and respect had been earned through skill, intelligence, and restraint. Riley and David walked quietly through the fleet. They whispered about what they had seen. "Humans are more than we thought," Alex said. "We underestimated them for centuries." David nodded. "And now the Empire knows the truth. Humans are strong, clever, and disciplined." Ethan and Claire prepared to leave the system entirely. They had shown the Empire humans' abilities without causing unnecessary destruction. Their goal had been achieved. Humans were no longer underestimated. The Empire would remember that humans could survive, fight, and outmaneuver an entire fleet with a small crew and a precise plan. As the human warship disappeared into the darkness of space, the Empire fleet regrouped and tried to regain confidence. But the lesson remained. Humans were powerful, disciplined, and clever. No longer could anyone mock them or assume weakness. The galaxy had seen their restraint, intelligence, and skill. Humans had revealed themselves as a race to be respected, feared, and admired. Hill finally spoke quietly to his officers. "We have been wrong," he said. "We underestimated humans. We cannot make that mistake again." Officers nodded silently, accepting the truth. The Empire had been humbled, and humans had emerged as a force no one could ignore. Riley and his team reflected on their experience. Alex said softly, "I will never underestimate humans again. They are strong, disciplined, and smart. More than anyone imagined," David added. "And they are fair. They could destroy us all, but they didn't. Humans are incredible." Inside the human warship, Ethan looked at the stars. Humans were underestimated throughout the galaxy, but that was changing. They had shown skill, intelligence, and restraint. They had not conquered, but they had protected themselves and demonstrated power. Humans were no longer a race to be dismissed. The Empire had learned that lesson, and the galaxy would remember. Claire worked quietly at her station. "They will not forget," she said. "Humans have shown their strength and restraint. They will be respected now." Ethan nodded. "And if necessary, they will be feared too. But for now, the Empire has learned the lesson without bloodshed." The human warship moved through space with calm precision. Systems were efficient, shields were strong, and every action was measured. Humans had shown their true abilities: survival, skill, intelligence, and mercy. The Empire had scoffed, laughed, and mocked. Now, they were humbled, and the humans' reputation was secure. Hill reviewed the reports once more. He could not ignore the facts. Humans had proven their strength, control, and skill. A small crew had outmaneuvered an entire fleet without destroying a single ship. The Empire had learned humility. Laughter at humans was gone. Respect had replaced it, and fear quietly lingered. Riley and David returned to their duties, carrying the knowledge of what they had witnessed. Alex said, "Humans are not what anyone thought. They are clever, precise, and disciplined, and they are strong enough to control a fleet on their own." David nodded, still amazed. "They are incredible. The Empire will never forget this." Ethan spoke one last time before leaving the system. "Humans do not seek war or conquest. We act only to protect ourselves and our people. The Empire has learned the lesson. Respect humans, and you will be safe. Disregard this, and you will face consequences." The human warship disappeared into deep space, quiet, efficient, and powerful. The Empire fleet had been humbled. Humans had shown their strength, intelligence, and restraint. The galaxy had learned a new truth. Humans were not weak. Humans were clever, disciplined, and capable of far more than anyone had imagined. The Empire would rebuild, recover, and rethink its arrogance. Humans had earned respect, not through destruction, but through skill, control, and courage. The story of the human warship would spread across the galaxy. Every race, every fleet, and every Empire officer would remember the day humans revealed their true power. Ethan and Claire continued their journey. They would protect humans, show their strength when necessary, and ensure that the galaxy never underestimated humanity again. Humans had been laughed at for centuries. Now, they were respected, feared, and recognized as a force beyond imagination. The Empire had scoffed until the truth came out, and the truth was undeniable. The warship was human, and humans were far stronger than anyone had ever imagined.